Ooh, good morning. It is a little brisk here in Quartzsite, Arizona this morning, but the sun is out. My solar panels new. I'll tell you about that separately because what a great discovery to meet this person who lives in the middle of a nudist colony. But I'll save that for another time. Tomorrow I get to meet the godfather of van life, Bob Wells, with almost 800,000 YouTube followers. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about why we're meeting and what we're doing because it's really Bob's initiative. But once I do know that tomorrow, I will share it with all of you. And so we're spending today here on free land, camped, a place called Roadrunner, which I find sort of funny for me. And we're going to, Buddy's not going to do anything, let's face it. I'm going to be cleaning it up and making it look pretty, and because, Bob's going to see it. And he was the major factor in convincing me through his YouTube channel that I could wait for a resolution to the legal case from the car accident for a long period of time, or I could just get on living. So living is what we're doing. So what I'm going to do today is answer some of the questions that many of you have had in either direct messages or sometimes in comments or whatever. And I'm going to start with the number one question that I get. Not how I go to the bathroom. That's actually the number two question, which is kind of funny. The number one question that I get is, how's Buddy dealing with this lifestyle? So he is sleeping right here. I'm on my almost 6 foot long twin bed here. Well, it's a little narrower than a twin, but here in the vehicle. And so I thought I would take a look back at the last 3.5 months. And don't forget, he had major knee surgery before we left Ottawa. So it was more complicated than I had anticipated. But I thought I'm going to take a look back at all of the places that we have traveled. I'm going to say in almost 10,000 kilometers. And I'm going to show you how Buddy is enjoying this lifestyle. Then I'll answer the other questions. So the number three question is, how do you afford to travel? And so I'm going to lay out for everybody how I travel. So my spending is so much less than it was when I lived in a beautiful tiny condo attached to a football stadium. And then the number four question is, do you miss home? And the great thing is, I'm going to take you all home in about a week and a half to my very snowy capital, or at least it is right now. Things can get a little up and down in December in Ottawa. And I'm going to show you the city that I love. And Buddy and I are flying home from Las Vegas. And then we will fly back a week later and continue up the Pacific Coast Highway. So I think I've done a good job avoiding the second question that I get. So if you are new to the concept of van life, this information is probably going to be pretty surprising to you, but anybody who's in van life, RVs that know about black tanks and gray tanks, people that live in cars, people that live in vans, even people that live in trailer parks, like my beautiful friend Jen, know about how toilets work. And if you live in a city, if you live in a home, you flush and then you don't worry about anything else, right? So if you're not in a van that has a gray tank or a black tank means you hook up a hose to a tank and you have to go to a place and everything you have to put down into a tank. I obviously don't have that because I'm living in an SUV. So I have a pop-up toilet. It's almost like a garbage can, but it can collapse down so that it's small for storage. And I have a tent, a little tent that goes outside, and that goes into the tent most times. I'll explain why, not always, but it goes into the tent, and basically it's bags and either the kind of stuff that you would put in a hamster cage. You put that in there, you have your bag, you do your thing. And quite honestly, if you've ever camped and you have to pee, I think you kind of know how that works. If I am somewhere that it has to be inside the vehicle, that is also possible. Obviously, I don't bring the tent inside the vehicle, but I do bring the essentially pop-up garbage can, and then it locks into place, so I'm not going to fall. Locks into place, and in an emergency, it works. And I think it was $20 on Amazon. But again, if you're not in van life, this may seem really horrifying to you. And then just like your dog's poop bags, those bags go into garbage cans. Or in this case, in Quartzsite, I'm going to a landfill site that has drop off because again, there's almost 1 million people here over the course of the winter. So it's all very good. I have hand sanitizer in the door of my vehicle, always hand sanitizing, and we all do it. We just don't seem to like to talk about it. So that's question number 2. Ha, get it? Okay, so the third most often asked question that I get is, how can you afford to travel full time? So I think down the road, I will probably do a spreadsheet. Like I know how to do a spreadsheet, but I'll figure it out. Of the exact cost. But just to give you some idea, the rent that I was paying at Lansdowne Park was $2,500 a month. I've owned houses, I've paid property taxes. I once had a 6-bedroom house, lived on a very nice street. So that was a more expensive lifestyle. But again, I own them. So you could argue that that was positive. Then I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I started renting because the first one was during COVID that I rented, and I sold my condo during a bidding war. So that was lovely. And then I went to a place that I really, really did not enjoy in the middle of a suburban neighborhood. So I left there early and then I went to Lansdowne Park. So $2,500 a month. Then add on to that tenant insurance. There were utilities, but it was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. My expenses now, this month would be a good example because I had to have a bit of an emergency motel time because I got COVID. And so that was about $100 a day. But most of the time, like right now, Roadrunner, BLM land, which is very prevalent in the Western United States, not so much the Eastern, but the Western United States, it's free camping. Literally free. There are no services. However, if you do long term, you can do $180 for 6 months. So $1 a day, and that gives you bathrooms and that gives you garbage. I honestly don't know about water. I don't think water is included in that. But I buy water for, 90 cents for a big thing of it. Or here in Quartzsite, you can refill those bottles and it's even cheaper than that. So my expenses are obviously my car insurance. I also got homeowners insurance added on to that. So that would cover if my vehicle was stolen, but also my camera gear, my computer, all that kind of stuff. I pay a lot more for gas. I used to hardly drive anywhere, and obviously gas is the thing that gets me from point A to point B. I haven't really figured out the expenses of that, but this vehicle gets 34 miles per gallon. Sorry, I don't know what that would be in kilometers because now I've kind of switched over to the American system until I get back to Canada. So, food. I used to be the queen of Uber Eats. That doesn't happen anymore. So I'm buying food at Walmart. I'm cooking. I'm going to show you here kind of how that works. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I'm going to show you the cooking thing and then we'll continue on. Look who decided to grace us with his presence. He's looking out the car door because there is a German Shepherd. The next closest person is probably, I don't know, I'm going to say half a city block from us, but he has seen there's a German Shepherd over there, so he gets very excited when he sees other dogs. You're coming in? Okay. So the number 4 question is, Hi, can you just lie down for a second? Okay, well, you're not being that incredibly helpful right now. So let's just lie down. There we go. So do I miss Ottawa? Do I miss my friends? Those are 2 separate questions. Of course I miss Ottawa. I love that city. I'm a huge fan of Ottawa. Winter was really challenging for me because with my injuries, to take who out for WALK, when it was icy, I fell a few times. Walking with a cane in those circumstances was challenging, and Ottawa can just be pretty tough in winter. So I don't miss winter. Ottawa, through 3 seasons, is one of the most beautiful places on earth, truly. If any of you are watching this and have not been to any part of Canada, or particularly Ottawa, highly, highly recommend it. As I do work on the road, so as Director of Communications for the Canadian Tulip Festival, I can't say enough about May is my favorite month in Ottawa. It gets a little hot and humid in July and August. May, June, absolutely stunning. Can't say enough. But let me talk about my friends. So I have Starlink for when I'm in areas that do not have cell service that can be either boosted or managed. But most of the time I am somewhere, it only happened once where I had absolutely no signal and I had to put up the Starlink. But it's always nice to have. So thanks to technology, I can talk to my friends whenever we want. We text, we FaceTime when it works for their schedule and for my schedule. I remember when I was 20 years old and I went to Europe for 4 months and worked in London for a couple and then toured around. And I would have a date with my parents on Sunday at whatever time it was their time, and I would use a phone and call collect. And times thankfully have changed. So I don't feel removed from my friends. Again, when I take you all to Ottawa to show you my city just before Christmas, you're probably going to see some of my friends actually, because we're all getting together. But that will be in person. But I don't feel that I'm alone out here. I feel very connected to them. I'm so grateful that I have an incredible family of choice, and my business associates, we're going to also be getting together in person. It's only 7 days, and I think I have 7 medical appointments in 7 days, just about injuries related to the car accident that I'm still kind of dealing with. But no, you don't feel alone out here, and you also get the opportunity to have some very profound experiences with people that were strangers in the morning. I had a wonderful experience with a friend. I don't know if she wants to be named, but she knows who she is. And we were camping beside each other on a Texas beach. And we spent the entire day together. Lunch, dinner, evening, spent the whole next day together. And then unfortunately she had to go back to work in Texas. And we had so much in common, and we just became such fast friends. Like, when you meet those people that you just think, we were sisters in another life, right? Like, we have so much in common, and we get along so well, and we both have small dogs that we love. Honey is her dog. And, it just kind of diverse, and we still text and talk about different places. I did a lot of Southern Texas based on her recommendations. Texas is a big ass state to drive across, so there were a few things that she recommended to me that were lovely, and I don't feel alone. I don't feel lonely. I know those are two very different things. And a lot of people out here do travel with pets. I've seen people traveling with cats on leashes, and a lot of people have dogs. So, yes, I miss Ottawa. I don't miss an Ottawa winter. I miss all of the people that I love there, but I also have people I love in other provinces. And hopefully I will get an opportunity to visit them on my travels, and I can do that because my home is on wheels. So I think there's a 5th question, but I have to check. Yeah, there is a 5th question, but I'll get back to you on that one. Oh, I remembered the 5th question. Because I have been fairly open about the fact that on some days my hip structure just it's the seatbelt injury just doesn't work the way that I need it to. And I do have in this vehicle walking sticks, and I have a proper cane. So some people have asked me about accessibility out here. Now, I have interviewed she actually had a really nice RV in her 80s, if you've seen that video, and a lot of people in their 70s, and accessibility becomes a bit of a challenge, whether you're physically injured or it's an aging process. I have built into this vehicle ways to step up so that I'm not sort of doing a big jump, ways to step down so that I'm safely launching myself onto the ground without jumping. I'm more physically active than I was at home simply because I'm camping all the time, and I'm just generally more physically active. I would say about accessibility that if you saw the video about how I wasn't allowed to go into a cave, a tourist cave at some point because you couldn't go in with a cane, that was a really hard day for me to realize that, of course, they don't want to slip and fall in their cave, but at the same time, there were some things that were not available to me. If I do get a motel, I prefer that because I can back up my vehicle to the door and I don't have to go up and down stairs because stairs are hard on my right hip. where the seat belt buckle landed. And I wouldn't say that I have had anything that I can't work around out here in finding a creative solution. I don't have to lift anything super heavy. All of the appointments that I have in December are about, although one of them I do get needles, it's called prolotherapy, needles in my hip joint, and that is not a lot of fun. But it's, physiotherapy. I do see a psychiatrist for trauma related to the accident and some other stuff that was before the accident. But, they say the accident kind of cracked open everything. So I'm very open about the fact that I see a psychiatrist. I'm going to see her in person, although we do phone calls on the road. I need to have a couple tests, ultrasounds on my hip to kind of see how it's doing 2.5 years later. So, no, I wouldn't say accessibility is a major issue. I have to wear hearing aids, airbag to the face. And it's really nice because when I can take them out at night and I lock up everything, I don't hear cars going up and down the road or trains going by very often. So, yeah. So those are the 5 questions. If you have any more questions, you can certainly put them in the comments, or find any other variety of ways to contact me on, Facebook or LinkedIn or any of Instagram. I'm not really good at Instagram. I need to do better at that. But yeah, so 5 questions. We covered a lot of territory, but this is how I live my life. And when people ask me if I'm going to come home, if I'm going to buy a house again, rent something, I have no plans for that. I do plan to go to a bigger vehicle when all of the insurance issue stuff is settled, but no, I am a committed full-time traveler. So I hope you're all having a great day. And yeah, you're probably pretty excited that you don't have to go to the dump today. Love you all.